Welcome back, you guys, to video number 2. Okay, we have an update, a story, and an observation, which I think you guys will agree with. Let's jump in, let's cover it. Let's go. We're going to start off, there's just one thing I want to bring up, but first we're going to start off about this dress again with Venus Williams. Now, everybody said that Meghan Markle stole Venus's dress. Once again, here's the picture of the dress Venus was wearing, and it has this ruching on the hips that when I look at Meghan's dress, I don't see it. But what I did see is a lot of wrinkles, crinkles, and it did not look like a very expensive, fancy dress like what you would expect. Now, you guys know I like to give credit where credit is due. This was put up on Twitter, but I cannot for the life of me tell you who put it up. But I believe this is what Meghan was wearing, a 190-pound dress. All right, let's move on. And next up, we're going to discuss Venus Williams because, as I told you in my previous video, it looks like, okay, first of all, we know she was side-eyeing Meghan Markle. We saw her. She had her arms crossed. She was giving Meghan the side eye, like the whole time they were sitting there. And then when Harry went to stand up to get up on the stage, she just sat there. She didn't clap. She didn't stand. Initially, she did eventually get up, but her behavior was such that everybody went, what's going on here? Because Venus did not get up. She was seen seated. She was not seen clapping. And again, in case you guys aren't aware, Venus, who was honored, by the way, in case you don't know it, with her own Barbie doll, was seen standing up next to Meghan while Harry gave his speech. What's being suggested in a lot of these articles is that Venus protested Harry's award like a lot of other people, that she didn't agree with Harry getting the award, and she had the right not to clap if she didn't want to. Now, of course, the Sugars are twisting it and saying it was Harry and Meghan who were ghosting Venus, who was sitting directly to Harry's right, that they were both ghosting her. Sorry, I don't believe that. Let's not forget that Meghan is good friends with Serena. Let's not forget that Meghan is trying to be good friends with Venus. And keep in mind that Meghan and Harry apparently have no connection to Venus besides their friendship with Serena. So just because they're friends with Serena doesn't mean they have to be friends with the sister. Now, the part of the article that really caught my attention was where they said that during Prince's speech of unity, it touched Venus because she was intently listening and she looked captivated by Harry. Sorry, I don't believe that for a second. You know what? She had the right to not stand up if she didn't want to. People need to just get the heck over it. Next up, I want you to stick with me on this because I'm going to show you that Meghan manipulates Harry by crying. Remember, Meghan had said before that she was not much of a crier, but apparently this text exchange where Catherine was told to take Charlotte's dress to Kensington Palace because the guy had been waiting to alter the dress, supposedly this exchange made her cry. Like, are you kidding? If that made her cry, I don't believe it. But what I do believe is she threw herself onto the floor, which is where Harry found her sobbing on the floor. Okay, here's my observation. She really seems to like crying on the floor. And let's be honest, we don't know that that text exchange is accurate, but what we do know for a fact was that Meghan actually bullied Charlotte, who at the time was 3 years old. Next up, Meghan sobbing on the floor, supposedly while in her closet after they moved to Canada. Now, I have to tell you, if I was on the floor crying my eyes out, of course the first thing my husband would do is get a camera and take a picture of it, because that's the compassionate thing to do, right? Who can forget the Netflix story of Canada, some man on his knees in the middle of the flight thanking her for her work and her help, and Meghan was just so, overcome that she landed in Canada and she fell into the arms of one of the security men. So that time she didn't hit the floor, instead she fell into somebody's arms. How about when she collapsed to the floor, holding Archie over the stress of Megxit? Guys, this is like something out of a movie. Every time you hear something about Meghan, she's collapsing to the floor. She's sobbing on the floor. She's in the closet on the floor. The text exchange, she was crying. I mean, who believes this? How about Meghan Markle was in a flood of tears, sobbing because William didn't protect her against the bullying claims that came out. Supposedly, allegedly, she was trying not to wake Harry up. So instead of leaving the bedroom and going to another room to cry, which is something I've done because I don't want to wake up my husband, instead, Harry found her sobbing into her pillow, crying and crying because of the bullying claims. For me, it seems more like she was crying because she had been found out. I've just never met or heard of somebody that is such a crier. How about the latest one? Meghan Markle was in tears when American Riviera Orchard was mocked. It was mocked because it wasn't ready to launch. She has no products to sell. The world has turned against this woman. But I'm telling you, I have never seen so many stories that are meant to pull at your heartstrings and make you feel bad for her. So here is what I believe. Again, any time that Harry would question her about some of the stories that were coming out about her, she would start to cry. So I really believe that all this crying that she does on the floor of the closet and on the floor of her house and she falls into, this is all acting, and she's not that great of an actress. I'm sure if he goes back and thinks about it, he'll find the tears only came from her left eye. You want to know why people don't like her? How about this one? She was crying in front of a $2,300 blanket. And by the way, for those of us who sucked it up and watched the Netflix docuseries, she actually wasn't crying here. There was not one tear in her eye. She looked up at the camera. How about when she was crying in her video diary on Netflix? I just don't know what to say anymore. But when you looked at the picture of her with the turban, not one tear on her face. She's not that great of an actress, you guys. That's why she was a D-list actress. I'm just sad that Harry fell for the whole thing. I'm not trying to be mean, you guys. That's my observations. She just loves to cry. She loves to pull at Harry's heartstrings. Look at me cry. How dare you question me? Okay, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and follow me over to video 3. Let's go.